we had a policy of reporting every single illegal immigrant, other than those 3, who committed any kind of crime or were suspected of crime, and we reported thousands of them to the Immigration Service, and few of them were deported.
Senator McCain, let me bring it back to the question that was asked by the YouTube user. Would you be willing to veto any immigration bill that involves amnesty for those who have come here illegally?
Yes, of course, and we never proposed amnesty, but, you know, this whole debate...
Come on, please, let him answer.
You know, this whole debate saddens me a little bit, because we do have a serious situation in America. In 1986, we passed a law that said we would enforce our borders and gave amnesty to a couple million people. We gave the amnesty. Now we have 12 million people and still borders that are not enforced. I came to the Senate not to do the easy things, but to do the hard things. Mel Martinez and I knew this was going to be a tough issue, but we thought the status quo was unacceptable. Broken borders, 12 million people here illegally, a need for temporary worker programs, certainly in my state in the agricultural sector, certainly in the state of Florida, and we tried to get something done. We said we'd enforce the borders. The American people didn't believe us. They don't believe us because of our failure in Katrina, our failure in Iraq, our failures in reining in corruption and out-of-control spending. So we tried, and we failed. And I appreciate the President's efforts. He comes from a border state, too. And what we've learned is that the American people want the borders enforced. We must enforce the borders, secure the borders first. But then you've still got 2 other aspects of this issue that have to be resolved as well. And we need to sit down as Americans and recognize these are God's children as well. And they need some protections under the law. And they need some of our love and compassion.
Thank you, Senator.
And I want to assure you that I'll enforce the borders first, but as President of the United States, we'll solve this immigration problem, and we won't demagogue it, and we won't have sanctuary cities, and we won't have all this other rhetoric that unfortunately contributes nothing to the national dialogue.
Thank you, Senator. Michael Weitz, who actually asked that question, is here in the audience. Michael, do you feel you got an answer?
Am I happy with the answer?
Yeah.
1 yes, 1 no, and 1 sort of.
All right. Appreciate you.
That's the rest of us.
Well, Congressman Tancredo.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, this has been wonderful. Senator McCain may not be happy with this debate, the spirit of this debate. For a guy who usually stands on the bookend here side and just listens all the time, that's kind of frustrating, you know, in other debates. I have to tell you, so far, it's been wonderful. Because all I've heard is people trying to out Tancredo. It is great. I am so happy to hear it. It is a wonderful thing, and it's a good message.
Actually,
yes, we want to secure the borders.
Our next question is actually directly to you, so let's bring it up.
Let me go ahead and answer that. Next question.
Hammered by competition with imports, our family-owned business struggles each year to find seasonal workers.
We've been working with the seasonal guest worker program, the H-2B program, bringing in and sending home workers every year. With Congress failing to enact a comprehensive immigration and guest worker bill.
I want to know.
Yo quiero saber.
I want to know whether I'll have a job next year.
And what are you going to do to keep these guest workers coming to the U.S. to save our business?
Congressman Tancredo?
Okay, the gist of the question, as I understand it, is what I'm going to do to stop guest workers from coming in here?
No, to help. The small business needs guest workers.
I could not hear that. I'm sorry. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not going to aid any more immigration into this country because, in fact, immigration, massive immigration into the country, massive immigration, both legal and illegal, does a couple of things. One of it is makes it difficult for us to assimilate. The other thing is that it does take jobs. I reject the idea categorically that there are jobs that, quote, no American will take. I reject it. Now, what they will do, what you can say, what you absolutely can say that is truthful is that there are some jobs Americans won't take for what I can get an illegal immigrant to do that job for. Yeah, that's true. But am I going to feel sorry if a business has to increase its wages in order for somebody in this country to make a good living? No, I don't feel sorry about that, and I won't apologize for it for a moment. And there are plenty of Americans who will do those jobs.
Congressman Hunter?
Yeah. Cooper, a great debate. It's nice to listen to lots of statements about what the other candidates will do with respect to the borders. I built that border fence in San Diego, and it does work. It's a... Now, you know, we built a double fence. We had the #1 smugglers corridor in America with most of the illegal aliens and most of the drugs that came into the entire country coming in through that #1 corridor between Tijuana, Mexico, and San Diego, California. We built the double border fence with a road in between, and we reduced the smuggling of people and drugs by more than 90%. And as a result of that, the crime rate in the city of San Diego went down by 53% by FBI statistic. And as a result of that, I wrote the law that the president signed last October 26, incidentally, passed the Senate 80-19, that mandates 854 miles of double border fence across Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Now, the administration has $800 million on hand right now, cash on hand. They haven't built a linear inch of that fence in Texas. And as President of the United States, I would build the double border fence, all 854 miles, in 6 months.
Next question is
my commitment.
On immigration as well. It's going to go for Governor Huckabee. Let's watch.
Governor Huckabee, while governor in Arkansas, you gave illegal aliens a discount for college in Arkansas by allowing them to pay lower in-state tuition rates. However, we have thousands of military members currently serving our country in Iraq with children at home. If these children chose to move to Arkansas to attend college, they would have to pay 3 times the tuition rate that illegal aliens pay. Would you support a federal law which would require any state that gives these tuition breaks to illegal aliens to give the same breaks to the children of our military members?
Governor Huckabee, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you very much, Ashley. First of all, let me just express that you're a little misinformed. We never passed a bill that gave special privileges to the children of illegals to go to college. Now, let me tell you what I did do. I supported a bill that would have allowed those children who had been in our schools their entire school life the opportunity to have the same scholarship that their peers had who had also gone to high school with them and sat in the same classrooms. They couldn't just move in their senior year and go to college. It wasn't about out-of-state tuition. It was an academic meritorious scholarship called the Academic Challenge Scholarship. Now, let me tell you a couple of provisions of it. And by the way, it didn't pass. Passed the House, but got in the Senate and got caught up in the same kind of controversy that this country's caught up in. And here's what happened. This bill would have said that if you came here, not because you made the choice, but because your parents did, that we're not going to punish a child because the parent committed the crime. That's not what we typically do in this country. It said that if you'd sat in our schools from the time you're 5 or 6 years old and you had become an A+ student, you'd completed the core curriculum, you were an exceptional student, and you also had to be drug and alcohol free, and the other provision, you had to be applying for citizenship. It accomplished 2 things that we knew we wanted to do, and that is, number 1, bring people from illegal status to legal status. And the second thing, we wanted people to be taxpayers, not tax takers. And that's what that provision did. And finally, would we give that provision to the children of veterans? Personally, what we've done with not just the children of veterans, but most importantly, veterans, is disgraceful in this country. And that's why I proposed a Veterans Bill of Rights that, if anything, would give our veterans the most exceptional privileges of all, because they are the ones who have earned all of our freedom, every single one of us.
Governor Romney, you called Governor Huckabee a liberal on immigration.
Well, you know, I like Mike, and I heard what he just said, but he basically said that he fought for giving scholarships to illegal aliens. And he had a great reason for doing so. It reminds me of what it's like talking to liberals in Massachusetts, all right? They have great reasons for taking taxpayer money and using it for things they think are the right thing to do. Mike, that's not your money. That's the taxpayers' money. And the right thing here is to say to people that are here legally, as citizens or legal aliens, we're going to help you. But if you're here illegally, then you ought to be able to return home or get in line with everybody else. But illegals are not going to get taxpayer-funded breaks that are better than our own citizens, those that come from other states or those that come from our own
30 seconds to respond.
Well, but they didn't get something better. They had to earn it. And you know something? I worked my way through college. I started work when I was 14, and I had to pay my own way through. And I know how hard it was to get that degree. I'm standing here tonight on this stage because I got an education. If I hadn't had the education, I wouldn't be standing on this stage. I might be picking lettuce. I might be a person who needed government.